Hello students, let's learn English together. Today we are going to learn how to become a better reader by using our thinking voice and reading voice. I find that when students read a text, they seldom think and reflect. They simply read for the sake of reading, but they hardly consider reading as a tool to develop their critical thinking skills. For them, reading is just a process whereby words are translated into meaning. The fact is, reading is an essential tool that can help you to develop your critical thinking skills. Developing these skills enables you to become a critical thinker. Nurturing your critical thinking skills also helps you to see things from different perspectives. By doing so, you will be able to think outside the box. In this lesson, we will learn how to use our reading voice and thinking voice as a tool to develop our critical thinking skills. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what the reading voice and thinking voice is, describe the steps that we can use to activate our reading voice and thinking voice, and use reading logs to develop our thinking voice. So what are we waiting for? Let's begin! In general, the reading process can be divided into two parts: the reading voice and the thinking voice. When we read, these are the voices that echo in our heads. But what are the differences? How can we use them to develop our critical thinking skills? The reading voice is the first stage in reading. This is the voice that people often use when they read. When we use the reading voice, we only process words to find out what they mean. It does not involve thinking. In other words, we read only for the sake of reading. We read just to understand the text at surface level. The thinking voice, on the other hand, is the voice of comprehension. It is a quiet voice in our head. It is the voice that we often neglect when we read. In general, the thinking voice has nothing to do with the words or meaning that we see in the text. Instead, it focuses on the thinking process that takes place in our heads. When we use our thinking voice, we are looking at the text critically. We are constantly reflecting on the things that we have read. The text becomes a stimulus for us to invoke the thinking process. As we read, we answer questions in our head. It's like having an internal discussion with ourselves. But what are the things that come to our mind when we use our thinking voice? Well, we will hear a stream of thoughts in our head. As we read, we will invoke our feelings and emotions, recall our past knowledge or experiences, summarize or identify the main ideas from the text, or we can make inferences or assumptions about the events that happened in the text. In simple words, our thinking voice are the thoughts that we have in our head when we read. This is the thing that many people fail to do when they read. They may be reading, but they fail to think and reflect on the things that they have read. So it is important to remember that a reader is a thinker. If you are not thinking, then you are not reading critically. But how do we develop these skills? Well, let me explain. Step 1. Read aloud. When you read the text aloud. Read the words just enough for you to hear your own voice. This will help you pay close attention to the words and what they mean. In addition, it will also help you to stay focused on the text that you are reading. Step 2. Stop, think, and reflect. When you finish reading a paragraph or when you see something interesting from the text, stop, think, and reflect. Ask yourself several questions about the text. For example, if you are reading a story or a narrative, you can ask yourself the following questions. How do you feel about the events or the characters in the story? How can I relate events in this story with my past experiences? These are the questions that you can use to activate your thinking voice. There is no right or wrong answer. It is up to you to interpret the text based on your own understanding. Remember, we are not looking for the right answer. We are just using the text as a stimulus to activate our thinking skills. To have a clearer picture of this process, let's look at this example. This is an extract taken from your literature component, Leaving No Footprint. The title for this story is Tanjung Ru by Ming Feng Ho. Let's read the text aloud. The day after his mother was buried, Mr. T.W. Lee stood for a long time, looking out of his office above Shenton Way. Below him, sunlight fell on the oily water of Singapore Harbour. He could hear the noise of the traffic in the distance. Tanjung Ru by Ming Feng Ho. As I read the text aloud, I'm using my reading voice to process the words and its meanings. At the same time, there are also several things that come to my mind. This is my thinking voice in action. This is really sad. I wonder what was the cause of his mother's death. Was it by accident? Or did she pass away peacefully? Maybe I should read more to know the answer. I think the character must be really sad. I think he really loves his mother. I felt the same way too when my grandmother passed away. She was really close to me. I cried the whole night when I heard the news. It was really unbearable. I think the view from his office is very peaceful. He was trying to console himself because he was feeling sad. I would have done the same too. When I'm sad, I always go somewhere quiet to calm myself down. It makes my problems go away. So how can we develop our thinking voice effectively? Well, you can use a reading log. A reading log is a great place to jot down your reactions to what you have read. It is also a good way to record your thoughts. But how do we create a reading log? Well, that is easy. You can follow these simple steps when you are writing your reading log. Step 1. Note the details. Begin your entry with the title, the name of the author, the date, and the number of pages that you have covered. Step 2. Write the summary. Write a short summary in chronological order. Your summary should include the key events or the main ideas in the text. Include enough information to jog your memory, but don't rewrite every single event. Step 3. Write your personal responses. You can use the suggestions below as a guideline when writing your response in your reading log. First, state your thoughts or opinions about the text. When you read, your opinion about certain issues may change. You may also view things differently. When you have finished reading, decide whether your impression towards a character or an issue has changed before and after you read the text. Provide a reason and write your response in your reading log. Secondly, state your feelings and emotions. Reflect on the events that has taken place in the text and ask yourself what kind of emotion it has invoked. Do you feel happy, sad, angry, or inspired? Record your reaction in your reading log and state your reason. Thirdly, relate the events in the text with your past experience. A powerful text can touch your heart. It can also trigger certain memories. So try to make connections between the text and your own life. See if you can relate your personal experience with the characters in the text. Next, analyze the characters in the text by identifying their characteristics. They can be the one that you like the most or the one you dislike the most. Decide whether you agree or disagree with their actions and state your reasons. Lastly, highlight your favorite lines or quotes from the text. Copy them into your reading log and explain why these passages caught your attention the most. Remember, this is just a guideline that can help you when you write. So, be flexible, dig deep inside yourself, and record all of your thoughts in your reading log. Write about anything that comes to your mind. By doing so, you will be able to activate your thinking voice and develop your critical thinking. So what are you waiting for? Grab a book and start reading now. Good luck! I hope to see you again. Till next time, bye!